Are back for UFC 306, The Sphere. This is a shorter card, and it's very top-heavy with the name value, but there's a lot of really, really good matchups on this card. The matchmakers did a good job at finding competitive and compelling matchups outside of a couple. There's a couple that are not very competitive, or really shouldn't be. But there's a lot of really fun fights on this card, so I am looking forward to it. Even though there is only 10 fights for a pay-per-view, that's a little bit short. If one falls out, all of a sudden the card's looking real small. That is okay. We're gonna make do. Hopefully nothing falls out. It's in the Sphere. It should be kind of an experience regardless. So we're looking forward to it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking forward to it. Let's jump into the first fight of the night. But first, go ahead and check out the description. There are some links down there that I think you might find useful or helpful, or just enjoy checking them out. So check everything in the description. All of my links for everything I have is there. And I'll see you in the first fight. Bantamweight, Raul Rosas Jr. takes on. All right. For all my Chinese audience out there, I need you to help. I had a buddy try to teach me a while back how to say his name. I'm not good at it, but I'm going to do my best. It's not Archie, all right? I know a lot of people call him Aoriqileng, and that's not it. But I'm going to see if I can get it. Aoriqileng, is that correct? Let me know. It's probably hard. I don't think I actually have the vocal capabilities of saying his name. We're going to stick with that, and I'm going to probably do it wrong. So we've got Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Aoriqileng. 3-1 in a no contest for Aoriqileng. I'm going to call him Archie. Gosh dang it. I'm going to call him Archie for the rest of the video. I'm sorry, guys. For Archie, he's 3-1 in a no contest in his last 5 fights. The no contest, that was a loss. That dude was getting absolutely destroyed by Daniel Marcos. Lucked out and got kicked in the nether bits. He was probably the most thankful man in the history of ever to have been kicked in the balls. I've got to say, because he was getting destroyed in that fight, and that was his way out. So the dude lucked out. Good on you, Archie. You made your way out, saved you from taking the loss. On the other side, Raul Rosas Jr., 4-1 in his last 5. He did suffer a loss to a guy that, missed weight. Kind of did that to a lot of people. Couldn't make weight, missed weight, and then stopped takedowns because you come into the fight weighing an extra 5, 10, 15 pounds. Either way, for Rosas, that was a learning experience. He looked good after that, figured some stuff out. For Archie, he's a good striker. He's got good forward pressure, decent power. The volume is probably his best asset on the feet. His striking defense leaves a bit to be desired. In fact, his defense in general leaves a bit to be desired. Decent wrestling. He can wrestle offensively, but defensively, it leaves a bit to be desired. So for Archie, the guy, his best path here is going to be to try to strike fast and strike early and try to get a knockout before Rosas is able to do some damage to him. However, Rosas is a fast starter. This dude's going to come in. He's an extremely solid wrestler and grappler. He's going to shoot takedowns at a high volume. If he doesn't get the first one, the next one's coming. He's going to chain wrestle his butt off. He's going to take your back, and he's going to aggressively attack submissions. He is very much submission over position, but he does such a good job at taking the back that even if he falls off and whatever, he's usually good at scrambling back. I probably could have wrote scrambles there as well. We're not trying to take up the whole board. He does a really good job at getting back to where he needs to get to and then attacking again. And he's all gas, no brakes, which did cost him in a fight where, Christian Rodriguez missed weight and, when he started to gas out, that weight became a big deal. So take that for what it is. Rosas has looked good outside of that one. Decent striking. The wrestling threat just sets it up because if you're expecting this dude to come in and shoot a takedown and then he wants to come up with an overhand, it's probably going to land because you know that this guy's takedowns are a real threat, and that is what happens. And he's got decent power. We saw him put out Terrence Mitchell. That's not a big thing. Like Terrence Mitchell's been knocked out a few times now, but at the same time, it's still... It's shows that he has the capability to shut another man's lights off. Let's put it that way. For me, the pick's easy. Raul Rosas Jr. Like I said, my Chinese audience, please do me a favor. Let me know if I got this right. I'm going to try one more time. Aoriqileng. Is that right? I don't know. It could be terrible. I don't think I can actually do it. Added short notice, but I do enjoy this matchup just a little bit more than the previous matchup because, as you know, as you probably know, Joshua Van did actually beat Kevin Borjas, who was the original opponent for Edgar Chairez. That was a compelling matchup, but now we've got an even more exciting one because both of these guys are coming in here with a pretty good recent bit of history outside of maybe Josh Van's last fight, which we'll cover in a minute. But we've got Josh Van taking on Edgar Chairez in the flyweight division. Now, for Edgar Chairez, 3-1 in a no contest in his last 5 fights. That no contest, it was something. Let's put it that way. Realistically, it probably could have been a win, should have been a win. It's one of those things. But then for Josh Van, 4-1 in his last 5. Looked pretty good in the matchup. I thought he was losing the fight, but I thought it was competitive. But then he ended up getting knocked out by Charles Johnson. So Charles Johnson is a tough ask for a lot of people. Not usually known for the knockout power, but it was just a clean shot. Put him down. So usually Josh Van's a durable guy. That is a question mark now. I mean, obviously, if you coming back off a knockout in just a couple of months, that could be a problem. But here we are. So when we look at these two, real quick, I want to mention the reach and height advantage for Chairez. He doesn't use his reach particularly well, but he will be the first one to land if both guys throw at range. So there is that. The longer guy's going to land first. This is how it works. Got to close distance. But let's break this down. Josh Van, solid striker with good forward pressure. That's what he does. He starts slow, but he gets that pressure going early, if that makes sense. He's going to keep coming forward, but he's not really picking up the pace until the fight gets itself going, you know? He establishes his jab. He's got a good leg kick. He uses both of those to kind of, you know, dictate range, dictate, you know, where he's starting to place his shots, seeing how guys are reacting. And then he's going to start doing, you know, everything else. He's going to start working the body. He's going to start landing some more power shots. And something that really is good for him because he's a smaller guy that he can use really well is a slip and counter style. So he'll slip outside of a punch and come back and just let it sail over the shoulder. Boom, right there. And he does that really well. And the reason that's important for the smaller guys is because oftentimes when you slip, you can come in a little bit. That was a horrible slip, but my floor is not exactly, I'm wearing socks on a wood floor is the thing I'm saying. I don't want to slip. Like literally slip, you know what I mean? But so Josh Van, you know, slip, come in, but he can slip as he's closing that distance. And that helps when you got short, stubby little arms because you're able to close distance and land your shots inside. But you've often got to dodge the shots coming your way initially. Now, so he does have that style that works well for closing distance. Let's put it that way. Grappling, he's decent. He's active from his back, but he's very much submission over position. I don't think he's going to try to offensively grapple here. Maybe he does. Maybe he just does that at the end of a round to secure a round or something. But I don't. Other than that, I don't really think so. So, other side, Edgar Chairez, good striker as well. And he also is a forward pressure kind of guy, which is why I say he doesn't use his reach super well. I do actually think the fact that they're both extremely forward pressure type of fighters, and they both want to get in there and just get things going, is going to favor Josh Van because he wants to close distance. And if the guy that's bigger and longer is closing distance for you, that helps a lot. So for Chairez, very dangerous in the pocket. He's got a blitz style where he'll boom, 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 fire off his shots and then, you know, reset, start looking for his shots again, then boom, reset, just boom, 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 reset. That blitz style that he has is very hard to deal with sometimes because it's all right now, and then okay, there's a little lull. Lets him catch his breath, lets him do, you know, pick his next spot, whatever. So he does that very well. He's got a lot of power, very good kicks, jab, just sticking that in there pretty early, and that's about the one thing he does well at range is the jab. But the blitz is what I'm talking about, where he just crashes in and doesn't use his range very well. So I will give him the jab there. His striking defense does leave some to be desired, and I think that's a problem for him in this matchup because if he's focused too much on landing offensive shots on Van, and Van's able to slip shots and counter back, that could be a big problem for him. But the grappling edge is definitely for Chairez here because he's a slick grappler. This guy, his jiu-jitsu, he doesn't have the best offensive takedowns, which could be a problem for him, but he is very slick when it comes to his submission arsenal. He's very quick to attack the chokes. That's what he goes for primarily. And he'll often use it as a takedown defense. So, like if somebody shoots in on him and he snatches up a neck, that is a good method for him to usually get those wins. I don't think Van shooting takedowns is a thing. But if Chairez is able to get this to the mat, he does have a big advantage there. Ultimately for me, I got to take Josh Van. I'm concerned about the short time off after that knockout. That is a real concern. But I think Josh Van is going to be able to close distance and land his shots, and I think he's going to be able to pick up as the fight goes on, and I think Chairez is going to struggle to keep up with him in the third round. First round, Chairez probably picks it up. Josh Van just can't win a first round. But let me know what you guys think. I love hearing from you, and I will see you guys in the next fight. Ladies in the strawweight division, Yazmin Jauregui takes on Ketlen Souza. Souza 4-1 in her last 5. Same for Jauregui. Yeah, this matchup for Souza, I did bump her up to a good striker. I had her listed as decent in her last matchup, but it was against Marnik Man, and she looked better in the striking, but I don't know if that was it was probably a competition thing, so she might get dropped back down after this fight, which is almost not fair because of who she's fighting. I don't know. Either way, we're putting her as good. Argue it if you want. We're going to stick with it for now. Good forward pressure. I do like that. She's got good power. The leg kicks are there, and she does work the body. So there are things I like about her striking. I just think in this matchup, I I'm showing you my cards a little too early, but, you know, I just think that her striking might not look good in this matchup. Let's put it that way. Decent grappling as well. If she gets on top, she's got very good top pressure. On the other side, for Jauregui, she's a solid striker with very good hand speed, good combinations, the volume, and the counters. Striking shouldn't be close. Jauregui should be way better in the striking. And she's good in the grappling as well with her takedown defense and her body lock takedown. Obviously, her grappling is not nearly as good as her striking. Her striking is where it's at. I think Jauregui wins this one at a very high clip. In fact, she's my most confident pick on the card, and I'm just going to let you guys know that now. So let me know who you got in the comments below. And I'll see you toughest fight on the entire card to break down from my understanding. And in fact, if anybody tells you they've got a really, really good read on this fight, I would assume that they probably know Manuel Torres personally, because otherwise we haven't really seen him get out of the first round in more than half a decade, like 6 years or something like that. So for Manuel Torres, we don't know how he's going to be after that first round. I'm not saying that's necessarily a red flag. I'm just saying you don't know enough to really know how this fight can take place outside of round one. Now, when we break these guys down, we can kind of infer some stuff and make a prediction based on that, but we can't. It's just hard to be really confident in this one just based on not knowing. But here we go. So we're in 155 pounds. Ignacio Bahamondes, he's 4-1 in his last 5, and he's taking on Manuel Torres, who is 5-0 in his last 5. We're going to start on the Bahamondes side. Skill for skill, this is going to be a very interesting matchup where I think pure striking, Bahamondes has a pretty big advantage because he's a very solid striker who's extremely accurate, very powerful. He's got good volume. He can counter well. He can even fight out of either stance. The head movement's there, and he can kick to all levels. He's also pretty tall, so those kicks can snap up to a head pretty easily. Torres is also pretty tall, so there's that, but that's the thing. He typically wants to strike, but he does have decent takedown defense, and a lot of it comes because he's got them long choking arms. So he'll start to initially defend a takedown with a sprawl or something like that, and then he'll start attacking those front chokes, anacondas, darces, even a guillotine, which probably not the best move. Guillotines don't really work, but either way. So for Bahamondes, his striking is more technical, and he's going to be the better pure striker. But when you look at Torres, Torres has good striking as well, and it's more of that like bowl and china shop style where he's just running through there. It's not reckless, but he can get a bit wild at times, and his defense can suffer because of it. But the dude's coming in there trying to just take heads off, and that's what he's looking for. He's got tons of power, good volume. His kicks are devastating, but like I said, the defense is lacking. If he gets to the clinch, I think he's going to have an advantage here because he's deadly with those elbows and knees. Not to discredit the clinch of Bahamondes, he's got a good clinch as well. I think Torres is going to be able to capitalize on the clinch exchanges, at least early. That's all we really know about. And in the grappling, he's got powerful takedowns, and he's active from his back, but we haven't really seen him in an extended grappling exchange either. He starts extremely quick, which is why he doesn't get out of the first round, and he's very much kill or be killed. Another reason he doesn't get out of the first round. So like I said, this matchup here is probably the hardest one for me to pick. And originally, I wanted to make a bet on it when I saw the line drop and was like, oh, you know, Torres is an underdog. I want to bet on Torres. The guys look fantastic. And then I was like, I want to see more first. And then the line started to shift. It's really close to even now. And I still, even though I'm picking Torres to win based on what we've seen from him in the UFC, I haven't seen enough to feel good about it. So we're taking Torres. I wouldn't fight you if you were on Bahamondes. I would probably say, you know what, you might be right. And especially if this fight gets past round 1 where we just don't know. Torres could be great in round 2, could be great in round 3. We don't know. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. While you're down there, why don't you hit that like button for me? I appreciate it a lot. Bantamweights next. Irene Aldana takes on Norma Dumont. Now for Norma Dumont, 4-1 in her last 5 fights. The only loss being a very close, controversial split decision. On Aldana's side, 3-2. Her only losses are to pretty high-level competition in Holly Holm and then, of course, Amanda Nunes. There we go, the former champion. So, pretty high-level competition. 2 losses, not a big deal. We'll touch more on that in a minute, all right? When I get back to Aldana, I have some stuff I want to mention about that, the 2 losses there. Now, for Norma Dumont, good striker. The thing that you don't see me highlight very often, in MMA especially, but like in these breakdowns, is striking defense. Norma Dumont has good striking defense. People don't just see it at first because they're like, you know, whatever, she's doing whatever she's doing. She's getting takedowns and stuff. But on the feet, like, she doesn't get hit a lot. And when she does, it's, you know, it's not usually just clean, heavy shots. So her striking defense is going to be put to the test here. And we'll cover the offense of Aldana in a moment. But her striking defense is very, very good. In fact, it's probably one of her best skills on the feet. Decent power as well. Not like heavy shots, but, you know, she can sting you. good countering ability. And in fact, that's when all of her combos come out. She doesn't really throw combinations unless she's countering. So what happens is she'll get out of the way of a shot and come back with hers, and that's when she goes right into a combination. Otherwise, it's a lot of single shots. Her volume can be inconsistent, but mostly because of this. It depends on how much she's countering. In this fight, it might be hard to counter. Her grappling, solid there as well. Or I gotta list it as good. It would be good if she did more on top, but she doesn't do a ton on top. But her top pressure is phenomenal. She didn't let anybody up, but she doesn't do a ton with it, right? Excellent cage push as well, and her takedown defense is very good. When we look at the other side, we've got, actually, you know what? Just Dumont's defense in general is just good, right? She's good sub defense, good striking defense, and good takedown defense. What more can you ask for? On the other side, for Aldana, solid striking. She's going to be the cleaner offensive striker here, and I don't think that's crazy to say. Volume is good. The power is there. Combinations are there. She worked the body well. I should put that up there as well. She's got a decent leg kick, but she doesn't defend leg kicks very well, and we found that out firsthand in her Carol Hulsa fight, where she just ate a ton of them. Now, sure, she just out-dogged her way through it and powered through those leg kicks, but my goodness, was she just eating so many leg kicks. She's got decent grappling, and she's active from her back, but she can be held down, and that's typically what happens when she loses. She's held against the cage or on the mat. When we look at the two fights she lost, why did she lose those two fights? Well, it's because they were high-level competition, of course. You got Holly Holm and you've got Amanda Nunes, but also because they came out with a grappling-heavy game plan. And by golly, I think that's what Norma Dumont's going to do, because that solid top pressure is going to win her this fight if she uses it. And I know it's hard to bank on somebody coming out with the right game plan because it's MMA and things are weird, but I think Norma Dumont's going to do it. She's going to be the stronger fighter in the clinch. I think on top, I think Aldana's going to have a really hard time moving someone like Norma Dumont with the pressure that she has. And on the feet, yeah, she might hit Dumont a few times, but Dumont's defense, like I said, is good enough. So if she can get in close enough to get the takedown or even the cage push, she's going to win a ton of minutes there. The judges are just going to be looking at Norma Dumont on top and being like, that girl's a winner, because that's, you know, you get distracted by Norma. So Norma's going to win this one, I think, by decision. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you. Flyweight, we have Ronaldo Rodriguez taking on Ode Osbourne. And if you remember last time, Ronaldo Rodriguez was Luis Rodriguez, so that changed, but here we are. Osbourne, 2-3 in his last 5 fights, 5-0 in the last 5 for Rodriguez. Interesting fight, because the 2-3 doesn't look that good on paper, but Ode has fought some pretty good competition in the UFC thus far. Rodriguez is only in his 2nd outing in the UFC. So for Osbourne, good striking. He's got a ton of power on his straights because he's a long, lanky guy. And when he throws those straight punches at the end of the punch, boom, that's like a whip crack and right down on your noggin. So the guy punches really hard on the straights. His hook's still got power, don't get me wrong, but the long, straight shots are what do the damage for Osbourne. Good combinations as well. Body kick is probably his best kick. He can use other kicks, obviously, but the body kick is the best, and he uses that length that he has pretty well. In the grappling, he's very active from his back. He's a good grappler in general, but he can be held down. He is active from his back, though. His length is pretty good, and he uses that to his length is just built in, but he uses it well, is what I mean to say. And that triangle comes as a result of that. On the other side, for Rodriguez, good striker who can strike from either stance. He's really good at cutting off the cage, using power shots, and he does that a lot off of his counters. The problem is, because he's always looking to counter, his output can be a bit spotty, and for whatever reason, he doesn't really defend leg kicks super well. In the grappling, he's a decent grappler as well. People might be overrating his grappling because of his last win, and I get it. You know, he looked like a grappler in that fight, but he's typically more of a striker from my understanding, from what I've seen on the regional tape. That fight, the grappling worked out for him. Now, he's got decent takedown defense, good transitions on the mat. He's very much submission over position, though, but he can take your back, and he will start attacking for rear naked choke specifically, but, you know, just attacking in general. I think Ode is going to get the upset here. I don't feel good about the pick. I mean, guy's 2-3 in his last 5 fights. It's hard to really be sold on him because losing does become a habit, but I do think Ode Osbourne is going to play the upset role here. I think he's going to land a big, powerful, straight shot on Rodriguez, sit him down at one point, and I think from then on, the rest of the fight, it's going to be back and forth, but I think Ode is going to have just the more moments, and I think that sitting him down with that shot is actually going to make it so Rodriguez's volume is even lower than typical, and I think Ode is going to cruise to a decision. So we're going to take Ode Osbourne to get it done, probably 29-28. I think there's going to be a round that Rodriguez takes. Just don't know which one. Probably the third, actually. Probably the third. I think he's going to realize he's down and try to come out hard. But I don't know. Maybe that's a little too specific. Ode Osbourne. I'll see you guys in the next fight. Versus Ribby V. That was actually terrible. Daniel Zellhuber takes on Esteban Ribovics at 155 pounds. Both guys are 4-1 in their last 5 fights. A notable reach advantage on the Zellhuber side of 8 inches, which is substantial. Ask your girlfriend. Esteban Ribovics, we're going to start on his side. He is a solid striker with plenty of power who can fight out of either stance. He does a very good job with that. His combinations are pretty darn good, and he works the body very well. His defense, abysmal. 0 striking defense whatsoever. He's durable as heck, but there is nothing in the way of striking defense there. On the grappling front, though, he has decent wrestling as well with decent takedowns. He's got good sweeps. I like those a lot, and he's got a good Kimura, but much like his striking, his takedown defense isn't very good, and he can be held down. The guy's got cardio to go for an entire 3 rounds, no problem, but he's the most all-offense, no-defense fighter that I probably have ever seen. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that has no defense like this, but Ribovics has no defense and relies on his durability and his cardio. But it works for him. Obviously, he's only lost once, so good on him. Now, on the other side, Daniel Zellhuber. He's a little more calculated, right? He's got good both offense and defense. He's a solid striker, uses his range really well. He's going to stick his jab. He's got a good head kick as well, and those crisp combinations are going to be what he's going to be putting together at range. Like I said, that 8-inch reach advantage is going to be something that he's going to be able to take advantage of, because not only is Ribovics going to have to close that extra reach to land on Zellhuber, but Zellhuber is going to have success landing his shots at range because Ribovics isn't blocking anything. At least he hasn't thus far. Maybe he's changed it in the time since he last fought, but either way. In the grappling department, Zellhuber's good there too. Now, he's got solid takedown defense. He will threaten with front chokes, and when he does get on top in the matchup, he's going to start looking for either ground and pound or submissions, and he's looking to finish the fight. He's not looking just to control. He's looking to finish the fight or get back up and go back to the striking. I will say that he did completely lay an egg. Zellhuber did in that Trey Ogden fight. Completely laid an egg. No idea what happened there because we've never seen him look like that outside of that fight. So it was strange. Ogden is very good, and his style can mess people up a bit, but that was something else, I tell you. So maybe we'll see that again at some point in his career. But until then, in a match like this, I have to take Daniel Zellhuber. I think he's going to be the better fighter at range. I think Ribovics has a real shot. If he can get in the pocket and start swinging bombs, he could definitely knock out Zellhuber. But Zellhuber's shown durability as well. He's eaten punches before and been fine. I don't like this matchup for Ribovics. I've got to take Zellhuber to be the cleaner striker. Probably win it in a decision after both guys having some success. But just the amount of volume that Zellhuber's going to be able to land clean is probably going to get him the win. So we're taking Zellhuber. But let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of my horrible names for these fellas, and I'll see you guys in the next. We have a rebooking of Brian Ortega and Diego Lopes. Now, 4-1 in the last 5 is for Diego Lopes, and his last matchup, was nothing but chaotic. Let's put it that way. But it was also chaotic for Ortega, just not as much so. He was able to exit the scene a little bit earlier. Now, in his last 5 for Ortega is 2-3. He's fought the higher level of competition. The guy's been in title fights, and he's fought the best guys in the entire 145-pound division. Gosh, get that out. But for Diego Lopes, he's on the way up, right? He's getting there. His only loss in this UFC stint has been in his debut that he took on very short notice against Movsar Evloev, in which he probably could have won that fight with just a little more gumption on that knee bar. Now, for Diego Lopes, solid jiu-jitsu. We know he's a solid jiu-jitsu player. The guy has the credentials. He's a coach at name of the gym is slipping my head, but we're going to talk about it again for Grasso. But he's the jiu-jitsu coach there. He's very opportunistic in both his submissions and his transitions. He takes his opportunities as they come to him, and he will force it by being aggressive, but he doesn't force it in the sense that he has to burn through stuff to get it. He takes what you're giving him. But aggressively, which is kind of weird. But either way, very active from his back. That's how he's looking for these submissions. If he is on bottom, looking for scrambles, things like that. In the striking department, he's got good forward pressure, tons of power, good volume, and his kicks are probably his best weapon on the feet as far as cleanest. He does get a bit wild with his striking at times, maybe because he can't see with all that hair up in his face, so he's just kind of swinging at some stuff, but also maybe just because he wants to get a knockout fast. But either way, dude's a fast starter. He's going to come out of the gate extremely high pressure. And in this matchup, if he does that, he will have success in the first round against Brian Ortega, because we've seen that before. Guys have success early against Brian Ortega. he weathers the storm, and then he comes back and wins the fight, or tries to win the fight. Sometimes it works for him, sometimes it doesn't. The Max Holloway fight is a great example of it didn't work out for him, where he just kept taking a beating the entire time. So either way, for Diego Lopes, he's going to want to start fast, but he's got to be cautious about not burning out too quickly, because Ortega's a tough customer, right? I probably should wrote durable. I'm going to write that right now so you guys can see it, all right? You can see me knock this one out. Durable. Because that dude is durable. Okay, so for Brian Ortega, like I said, 2-3 in the last 5. Not the best run. However, he's like the eagle, right? He's sharpening his beak and stuff. That worked for him that last time, so maybe he's doing that again. That's not. I don't think that's a real thing. I don't know. Somebody said it was. Somebody said it wasn't. I don't know. But Brian Ortega, it worked for him. There we go. Then he took the fight. Didn't take the fight. Got sick. It happens. But we're here. He's a solid jiu-jitsu player as well. In fact, his MMA style of jiu-jitsu is probably some of the best jiu-jitsu in the 145-pound division for MMA. But he's got a large toolbox as well. Very slick in the transitions. His control is going to be better than Lopes as far as jiu-jitsu control. I would say Ortega has better control. Choke arsenals, that's where he's at. That's what his specialty is. A guy like Lopes, he'll take the chokes. He'll go for arms. He'll go for legs. Ortega's very, yes, he knows those moves, but he's very zeroed in on the neck. That's what he's going for. He's got a nasty guillotine, and that triangle is very good as well. I mean, that's why they call him T-City, right? On the striking, here's where it gets tricky. Because for Brian Ortega, he, for a while, didn't have any strike. It wasn't any striking, but he didn't have much striking. And his striking got put to the test bad. And when he got beat up by Max Holloway, it was very apparent that this guy really needs to level up the striking. And he did that. He did a good job. And now his striking is actually pretty good. He's got good volume. He's going to stick the jab out there. He's got good combinations. The front kick up the middle is nice. He's got durability. I didn't write volume either. That's all right. You got it. I said it. But he has a lot to like. He still will take a beating, and that's not something I like from him. So that's why I'm going to take Lopes in this fight. I think Lopes is going to be able to do enough damage early on that even if it goes to the scorecards, Lopes is going to look like the guy that won the fight, and I think the judges are going to take him to win the fight. So I could see a finish, but I could also see Lopes winning a decision after a very front-running style of matchup and just does a ton of damage before he starts to slow down, and then can do well enough once he slows down that Ortega's not just going to put it on him, right? So I'm going to take Lopes. I think Ortega's got some upside here, but, this is one that you might, for me personally, I'm going to kick my feet up on the coffee table. I'm going to crack open a nice cold root beer, and I'm just going to enjoy the show. Because this fight right here has a lot of things that make me wonder about it. But I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. I know a lot of people are very bullish for one side or the other, so let me know. Let your voice be heard. I'll see you guys in the co-main event of the evening. And if you found this video entertaining or useful thus far, if you would do me a very big favor and hit the like button for me, I would appreciate it very much. Let's break down this co-main event. We have Alexa Grasso defending her championship against Valentina Shevchenko. Now, when I say defending her championship, it's a bit misleading because the last matchup between these two was a draw. And that is reflected upon in their last 5 fights. Valentina is 3-1 and a draw, whereas Grasso is 3-0 and a draw. Now, the reason that can be a bit misleading is because a lot of times people say, oh, well, she must have won the last fight if she's still the champion. No, that's not how it works. If there's a draw, the champion retains the title. It does not get vacated or anything like that. I understand it. Makes sense. Very controversial fight, close fight. I'm not going to get into that too much right now, but I just wanted to point out that the last fight was a draw. Grasso did win the first matchup by securing a submission off of a very poorly timed spin from Shevchenko. Very uncharacteristic of her, but it is a thing. Now, apologize ahead of time. You might have to zoom in. I did have to write kind of small. I tried to write this, as you can see, I started here in my normal sized marker, and it was not going to work out. We were not going to be able to read any of this. We had too much information on the board. So zoom in a bit if you need to. It is what it is. Or just, take a screenshot of this and you can zoom in as we go. Whatever works for you. We're going to start with Valentina Shevchenko. Or you just listen to me talk. That's fine too. She's a high-level striker. And, I mean, you can't really argue that. The kickboxing credentials, the MMA striking, all of it is there. She's a very high-level striker. For Valentina, her striking it's very well-versed in all sorts of aspects of striking, right? She uses her Muay Thai style striking. She can use boxing. She can use all these different elements. I will say the boxing is going to be tough for her in this one, but we're going to get to that in a minute. But For Valentina, she is very well versed in the striking arts. Now, she's got fast kicks. Those are probably some of her best weapons on the feet. Good teeps. Her leg kick is awesome. She uses it to accumulation. And her shuffle kick, which is basically, it's a leg kick where you just quickly replace the front foot with the rear foot. The front foot now kicks the leg, and then it replaces and comes back. So it's boom, boom, very quick. It's hard to do in here. Like I said, socks on a wood floor, you know how it is. But she does a good job with that. It's very good for her to be able to just land that kick and get back out of range. She's running up the numbers on the strike count, but she's also chipping away, just chipping away. So good stuff there. Very good counter-striking ability as well, and she's fast. Now, she may have slowed a little bit because she hasn't looked as fast in the Grasso fights thus far. But then again, it could also just be that Grasso is very, very good as well. So I didn't take away the speed. She's still very fast. Now, when it comes to her combination, she puts her punches and kicks together flawlessly. Very, very good skill there. She's incredibly durable, and she has the ability to read her opponents. Now, this isn't necessarily a striking attribute because she can read her opponents well and dictate her game plan on the fly and do what she needs to do from there. She's also got solid clinch. She's got very good trips from the clinch, and she's also got very brutal knees in that clinch. Now, when in the clinch, I do think Shevchenko is going to be the stronger clinch fighter here, not muscle-wise, but like the stronger game. So I do think that is a key factor for her. If she can get into the clinch more, I think she's going to have some success there. At range, it kind of depends if they're at full like MMA striking range or boxing range, and we'll get to that in a bit. In the grappling department, she's had some success in these two matchups outside of getting choked out in the first one. Between her and Grasso, she's been very good at catching kicks and getting takedowns from there, whether that be a trip or a body lock takedown. Catching the kicks seems to be her best way to get the fight to the mat against someone like Grasso, but at the same time, she can also get the fight to the mat by getting what she needs to do, and then pulling the fight to the mat with a traditional takedown. When she gets to the crucifix, that is where she gets it done. That is her position, the mounted crucifix, where she just starts landing some brutal ground and pound, and that's what she's going to need to do often in this matchup. Her control from there, her top pressure, very, very solid. Once she gets to that position, getting out is a nightmare. It is a tall order for anyone. So I do like a lot of things about Valentina. There's not much to dislike, let's put it that way. For Grasso, we're actually going to start with the striking. I don't know why I wrote grappling on top. We're going to start with the striking. She is a solid striker. She's got very good combinations. In fact, her boxing is going to be better than Shevchenko's. It's not that she's a better striker than Shevchenko, but we've seen it before that her boxing is much better because she is more exclusively into the boxing realm of it. Yes, she can kick, she can do all this stuff, but her boxing is very, very good. Now, for Shevchenko, she's a little bit more well-rounded in her striking. Not that Grasso isn't. Don't nitpick. Stop it. Stop it. You should be ashamed of yourself. The striking for Grasso is very boxing heavy. Let's put it that way. And because of that, in the boxing range, if she's in boxing, just punching range, her combinations are there, her head movement is there, and it makes it really hard for someone like Valentina to get the one-up on her unless she can clinch up, which is what she's going to need to do. For Valentina, that is. For Grasso, she don't want that clinch. She wants to stay in the boxing range, land her combinations, and do what she needs to do. Volume's good. Her aggressive pressure helps her with all of this, and she can counter on the way in as well as in the pocket. Her counter striking is very good. The thing that can get her, though, this is kind of a pro and a con for her because it's only a con in this matchup because Valentina is so good at catching kicks. It's the fact that she'll double up her lead leg kick. She'll go one to the leg and one to the body off that lead leg to try to land two kicks. That works great, but Valentina started picking up on this quickly in the second, maybe it was her second fight. It was the second fight. She picked up on that quick, and she was able to take advantage of that and do what she needed to do to get the takedowns off of those caught kicks. Now, if Grasso doesn't change that, this right here is something we could see a lot of. Kicks getting caught. However, if she's in boxing range, the kicks aren't really going to be a thing she's throwing a lot. So she can get to boxing range. This is what she's going to want to do, and that's her best path in the striking department. Now, in the grappling department, she's very good there as well. Her downside is the takedown defense isn't the best. She can be taken down. She doesn't. I think it's because she stands like a boxer, and it is what happens, right? Boxers don't have the best takedown defense. They're pretty heavy forward. They can be taken down, especially with things like body locks, stuff like that. But yeah, she's going to be standing there looking to trade on her punches, and then that's when she can get taken down. When we look at her grappling, though, the back takes and the rear naked choke, we know that's there. That's how she beat Valentina the first time. But she's good in the scrambles. She's going to attack submissions, and the thing that I like is that she'll use the submission attempts to advance her position. She'll go for something and get you to defend that and then advance position based on that. Ultimately, this fight is going to be an interesting one. And how do I see it? Well, I thought Valentina won the last fight. I really did. I genuinely thought she won 3 rounds to 2. It was a close fight, but I thought she won. Now, I think that these two have fought twice now, and Valentina has won more rounds between the two, so I should take Valentina, right? Well, there's some other stuff to that. It makes it tricky, but I do think she is. I do think Valentina, because she's had the minutes in there, I think she's going to come in and know, okay, I've won more rounds. What do I need to do? What in those rounds do I need to do to win more rounds in this fight? And how can I implement that game plan? And I think she's going to do it. And I think I'm going to make a bit of a wild call here and say that Valentina Shevchenko is going to win by getting the crucifix and landing ground and pound and getting a late stoppage in this one via crucifix, ground and pound. Mounted crucifix, elbows, things like that. We're going Valentina Shevchenko by TKO later in the fight, 4th or 5th round. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm sure that many of you are going to hate me for that one. I'll see you in the main event. Main event of the evening, Sugar Sean O'Malley takes on Merab Dvallshvili in the bantamweight division. Guys, we've been waiting for this matchup for a long time. It's been a long time coming for Merab to actually get a title shot because of the whole situation with him and Aljo. But here we are. Merab is now facing Sean O'Malley for the title. O'Malley 4-0 and a no contest in his last 5. The Pedro Munoz fight was the no contest. You know what happens there. For Merab, he hasn't lost a fight in a long time. He's 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Guys, okay, here's the deal. Merab does not do a lot of things, but the things that he does do, he does extremely well. He doesn't do much at all in a fight except right here. That's what Merab does. This stuff, I mean, it comes from this, but right here is what he does with this as the fuel for it. When we look at Merab Dvallshvili, this guy's a solid wrestler who just shoots a relentless amount of takedowns. He's going to chain these takedowns together, and he's going to shut down his opponent's offense with the takedowns. He does not control them when he gets them to the mat. He just shoots another takedown after they get up, which they inevitably will because he doesn't have any top control. He's just going to keep shooting takedowns, and he does that because he's got an extremely high motor and insane cardio. That is what Merab does to win fights, and it has worked for him for a long time. I mean, look at that 17-4 record. He's 5-0 in the last 5. Like I said, he's winning against Olympic gold medalist wrestlers by outpacing them in the wrestling. He landed some good strikes in that fight, too. I'm being a bit of it was a bit of an exaggeration. But either way, he does have decent striking, but that, again, stems from this because you're so worried about these takedowns that he can start landing his goofy spinning back fist that he has, that he uses to close distance. He can land that leg kick that doesn't look pretty whatsoever, but lands pretty hard. And he's durable enough that when you knock him around a bit, he's like a weeble. He wobbles, but he doesn't fall down. He just gets wobbled, keeps coming. Gets wobbled, keeps coming. Eventually, that's not going to work for him. You can't do that forever. This might be the fight where it doesn't work for him. But it's worked for him thus far, so you can't really count him out. Like, Merab doesn't do a ton of things. Like I said, he doesn't do much. But he does one thing really well, and that is shoot a bunch of takedowns and just take away any ability to put out offense. That is what he does. On the other side, we have Sean O'Malley. He's better at a lot of other things, mostly the striking, but he is good in a lot of ways. We're going to break this down now here. So, for Sean O'Malley, a lot of this is going to be negated by the fact that he won't be able to do anything when this is going on. But he is a solid striker with extremely good feints. Now, will the feints work? That is a question we're going to have to ask ourselves in this matchup. Because here's the thing. If Merab just doesn't care what is coming his way, feints don't work. That's how feints work because you get guys to bite on and react on something that you're essentially faking a strike. Like you act like you're going to throw a strike to get somebody to bite on something. If Merab does not care that you're going to strike him, he's going to just come right forward like a dummy. And for lack of a better term, he's just going to just run his head straight into you like he did that frozen lake. He doesn't care that you're feinting him. So the feints might not work for O'Malley, but he has incredible feints. They just might not work. He has long straights. Those will work because he's going to be able to reach Merab far before Merab can reach him. So for O'Malley, when he's throwing these long, rangy shots, he's going to be cracking Merab. It's just, can he crack him enough? That's a key. He can fight from either stance, and he often switches stances with his kicks. It's incredibly impressive. This guy's footwork is insane. His movement is insane. He circles off extremely well. All of this, very good, and it's going to help him negate some of this. That is important. We're going to talk about it more down here, but right here, yeah, good. He's very accurate with his punches. He can thread the needle extremely well. He can get between a guy's guard. Like, if they get their hands up like this, he's going between it, around it, underneath it. Doesn't matter. He's extremely good, and the timing is there. His striking is fantastic. I don't need to tell you this 100 times. I'm just going to tell you a few. His kicks, very good kicks. He's got a good front kick. I like the side kick to the knee, and he's got a spinning heel kick. That's not too bad either. The thing I don't like in this matchup is the front kick. I like it because it's a good kick. I don't like it because it's going to be closer for a guy like Dvallshvili to get that single leg that he's going to probably go for. He does shoot a lot of single legs. So for O'Malley, I do like the side kick to the knee, because if you side kick somebody in the knee when they're coming forward like a reckless maniac, which is what Merab's probably going to have to do in this one, and then you side kick them in the knee, well, that sucker's probably going the wrong direction, and that's not what you want for your kneecap. So I'm going to say that the side kick to the knee, I like a lot. It's harder to catch that kick. It's harder to get a hold of the leg when it's, there. So that's a good one for him. The spinning heel kick, it's an end of the round type of thing, maybe. Striking defense is great. He's going to keep his range and use his evasion to stay out of range of Merab's strikes. I think his striking defense is going to be fine in here. I don't foresee a lot of this landing on Sean O'Malley. So that's good. The grappling, this is what you're all wondering about. It's the grappling of Sean O'Malley. He's a good grappler. He's got decent takedown defense. We're going to talk about the takedown defense in depth momentarily. But when he does get taken down, he's incredibly safe on the mat. I think that's not going to be a problem for him. And he does work his way back to his feet very well, finds what he needs to do, works through positions, and gets back up. Here's the thing we got to talk about, because a lot of times his takedown defense is done by avoiding takedowns entirely. He uses that footwork to stay away. However, when people get in close, how does he stop takedowns? Well, he's really good at stopping, he's good at stopping single legs, because he does this thing where they pick him up and he just turns his knee over and like kind of hops out, and he does a really good job with that. He'll also push off the knee first sometimes like that. Good job of stopping single legs. Up against the cage, it's a little different. You got to kind of adjust it slightly, but either way. Double legs, it depends. He can stop double legs pretty well with initial sprawling. He does a good job there. And in fact, up against the cage, he's pretty good at stopping those unless you're able to elevate him. Once you get his feet off the ground, it's over for him. Except, let's not be silly here. Sean O'Malley is not above grabbing the cage to stop a takedown. He's going to do that here, especially if he gets elevated. He's going to do that a couple of times here, at least. Probably 3 or 4, 5, 6 maybe even, because Merab's going to shoot 100 takedowns maybe. But for someone like O'Malley, that stopping of the takedown by grabbing the fence, even if he loses a point, he knows that he can finish Merab, at least in his mind, out in space. So if he has to stop a takedown by grabbing a fence, and even if he loses a point, what's it to him? Who cares? So I definitely think that that's going to help him. But if he does get his feet elevated off the mat, the takedowns will come from Merab. We've seen him do that to Cejudo, pick the dude up, carried him around, and slammed him down. That is something that Merab can do, but he's going to have to close the distance, and that's going to be tough because you've got a guy like O'Malley who keeps his range extremely well, and he's evasive. He avoids the takedowns entirely by staying at range. But if Merab can get him into a position where he's maybe stuck against the cage and he can't use that evasion on the feet, that's when he can get him elevated and get the takedown. Other takedowns that work well against O'Malley are if you can get to the body lock and just rip him to the mat. Because although he has pretty good ability to fight off the hands, separate your hands, get him off, whatever he needs to do, if you just rip him to the mat, you're going to get him down. He'll bounce back up, but you're going to get him down. So those are takedowns that are going to work on him. And if he's going to have to keep getting back up, that will wear on the cardio. And we've seen Merab have just ridiculous cardio. So unless the rumors about his staph infection are true, I don't foresee Merab getting tired at any point. But if the rumors are true, maybe he will. Either way, this is the thing that it's going to all come down to, is whether or not O'Malley can stop the takedowns consistently and whether or not Merab can get in for those takedowns in the first place. That's what you're all wondering. And it's going to be a big split. A lot of people are on either side, I'm sure. I probably spent way too long on this fight breakdown. And really quick, before we give you the pick, if you found this information useful, even in just deciding for yourself, before I give you my pick and my bias, do me a favor and like this video. Maybe even share it with a friend. That'd be fantastic. But we're going to take the pick. Here it is. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to take Sean O'Malley, and here's what I see happening. Yes, obviously his most likely path for O'Malley is going to be landing a knockout. That could happen. But here's what I think is going to happen, and it's going to be a wild one a little bit. I think what happens is Sean O'Malley cracks him on the way in. And he does this a few times, not just once, a few times. Merab's been cracked a few times. After you've been cracked a few times, you don't quite see things the same, right? You're a little dizzy, a little disoriented. He's going to come in for a takedown, and at this point, he's going to try and get around the legs. And O'Malley's been taken down a few times at this point in the fight. Maybe it's third round. Maybe it's fourth round. O'Malley's going to get him with a ninja choke. I'm calling it now. Sean O'Malley, ninja choke. Third or fourth round. That's what we're going with. Sugar Show. Don't bet on him to win by ninja choke. That's a silly idea. But that's what I'm just going to call it, right? I'm going to call him a shot. I do think O'Malley's going to win. Probably most likely knockout. We're taking the ninja choke. Thank you guys for tuning in. I do appreciate you all so much. This 10-fight card, it feels like it's a bigger card just because of the implications surrounding some of these matchups. So, guys, enjoy the card, and I will see you down the road.